Vintage plastic pipe fittings. Let's start with this Plasti-Line combo fitting from the 1970s. This fitting is 1.5 by 2 inch by 2 inch, and it's great on horizontal applications where a T-fitting wouldn't be allowed. Now you can see how this is actually fabricated out of two parts. This is a short sweep 45-degree elbow that has no markings. And this Y is not a standard Y. It actually has this connection stretched out and a shorter hub. And they made these weird fittings for fabrication. So let's say they had a bin full of these elbows. They might have grabbed two and put them into a double combo. In this case, they only used one because it's just a combo. Now how this worked is they had a fusion tool. You would stick the hub onto like a male end that would come out, and you'd stick the pipe into a female end. Both of them would heat up and melt. They'd pull it out, and you'd stick these two together, welding these two, making them into one. You can see someone cut off the 1.5 hub. So if you try to take a 1.5 pipe, it wouldn't fit into that 1.5 hub. They probably are trying to glue on a 2-inch fitting like that, but that'd be an improper connection because of these little nubs right here, which wouldn't allow the glue to go on properly. That's the inside. You can see these are the markings. It says Plasti-Line PVC, NSF DWV. NSF is not in capital letters, so this fitting could be very old. That's the part number right there, and that's the head of a screw. When they're putting the mold together, the screw head would show up in the plastic. UPC, I'm not sure what that is. It's a bunch of numbers and letters, and this is ASTM right there. There was some sort of sticker right here, and that's pretty much it. This is a pretty good fitting for its time. Nowadays, you don't really find fabricated combos. Spears makes many fabricated fittings, but this is more older technology, and a lot of companies just have this one piece. The next fitting is another Plasti-Line fitting. This one's still intact, and you can see this is Plasti-Line PVC NSF DWV. That's the part number. That's the head of a screw. UPC. They don't put UPC on too many fittings anymore. ASTM, and that's the same thing that was on this fitting, but I'm still unsure on what it is. And this is simple. It's just a 2 by 3 introducer. So you loose onto your 3-inch pipe, and then you glue a 2-inch pipe into that. The next fitting is this Permafit fitting. You can see it's very simple. It's just a straight 22.5. So let's say you have a hub, you can stick this in there, and you can go from a 22.5 degree angle. These are not needed much, but they can be very helpful in tight spaces. You can see it says Permafit. Permafit made fittings way back in the 70s and even the 60s, but this fitting is probably from the 80s. That's probably the part number. NSF has NSF the newer way in capital letters, so this fitting is newer from the 80s. It says ABS, but this is PVC, and that's UPC. Other side, same thing. Now let's take a look at a pretty interesting RGSloan GSR fitting. It looks a lot like an ITT Grinnell fitting. Here's an older ITT Grinnell elbow from the 1970s, and you can see how this sort of matched up. Made in USA, made in USA. 1.5 looks the same. This dot where it says PVC is right here, but it doesn't say PVC. Where they would have put the G, or that mysterious looking double diamond shape, there's a circle right there, and it has UPC the exact same way. The only thing that's different is it doesn't say NSFDWV, and this side has GSR markings. There's a GSR logo, UPC, PVC, NSF the newer way, that's that of a screw. Part number, unsure what that is. It says made in the USA right here, but a lot of fittings in Sun Valley, California on them. The next fitting is a vintage Genova fitting. probably from the mid to late 80s, so it's not that old. You can see it says Genova, NSF, the newer way, PVC. That's the part number, and that's the patent number. The patent number was for these twist lock nubs, and those nubs would lock into a twist lock plug. This is an older model of the plug that was patented around 1972. The next fitting is this fitting here, and it's actually new. I considered not reviewing it, but it's probably only 20 years old, so it's not too old. But the reason why I'm reviewing it is because it has GSR markings right here. You can see it says GSR, UPC. Fusio is the name of this, and this is for acid waste. So this is not made out of PVC. It's made out of PPFR. And that's the part number. That's the screw head. Other side, no information. And this would connect with a nut and a washer. So you'd have a washer in here, and you'd have a nut. You tighten this nut down, making a watertight connection. Now, the reason why I know this is newer is because it has the George Fisher logo on the nut. And George Fisher bought GSR, so they changed a nut, but they didn't change the elbow. And this nut runs pretty smoothly on the fitting. That's one of the advantages of this material, is it won't get affected by any glue. Somebody spilled PVC glue on here, and I was able to chip it all off. It didn't damage this fitting in any way because it's so good with chemicals, and it's designed to work with those type of chemicals. The last fitting isn't too interesting, but it's very old, and it's this GSR Slipknot, probably from the mid-70s, and it says Sun Valley, California on it. That's where a lot of GSR fittings are made. They also made some in Canada and even Mexico. Let's see, there's UPC, NSF, DWV, the older way, PPC, 1.5 inch, and that's the part number. Now how this would work is you'd slide this onto a slip joint pipe. You'd slide on a slip joint washer. In this case, it's a 1.25 inch by 1.5 inch washer. You'd slide this into your fitting. This is an older fitting from the 70s. And then you tighten this nut